Think about it. You already know exactly how to take a completely blank plot of land and envision a towering, structurally sound building, right? You've spent years honing your spatial design skills, learning to balance pure aesthetics with the literal laws of physics. You know how to take abstract concepts and translate them into physical realities. But what if I asked you to take those exact same skills and apply them to a totally different kind of blank canvas? The abstract world of business management. So how do you actually design a successful architecture firm? It's a massive question, because a successful architecture practice absolutely doesn't just happen by accident. Like Alexander Graham Bell said, preparation is the key to success. Think about it. You'd never pour a concrete foundation without having a highly detailed set of blueprints first. Well, the exact same logic applies to your future business. Thriving in the business of architecture requires meticulous, long-term thinking. You've got to prepare before the very first client even walks through your door. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive into how you can design a business just like you design a building, using a process known as strategic planning. For you as future firm leaders, navigating unpredictable economies and shifting market trends is just going to be your new normal. But here's the exciting part. By using strategic planning, you have this incredible opportunity to actually design your own work life, one that is both personally satisfying and financially rewarding. Think of this as our master blueprint for today. We're going to cover the strategic foundation, architecture versus business design, assessing your firm's landscape, goals, strategies, and actions, and finally, implementing your firm's vision. Let's get right into it. Part 1. The strategic foundation. To build a firm that can actually stand the test of time, we first need to lay down the absolute fundamental building blocks of your firm's future. So, what exactly is strategic planning? Well, standard business or marketing plans usually just look at the immediate numbers, right? Short-term tactics. But strategic planning is so much more profound than that. It is your ultimate roadmap. It's the active process of envisioning a desired future state for your firm, and then intentionally aligning all of your management and operational decisions with your core values and long-term aspirations. It spans short, mid, and long-term horizons, making sure every single step takes you closer to your ultimate destination. Right at the heart of this foundation are two concepts that get confused all the time, but they serve very distinct purposes. Your mission is timeless. It captures the essence of who you are right now, your core values, your fundamental purpose. It's what rallies your team together under one flag. Your vision, on the other hand, is completely time-oriented. It's evocative, it's ambitious, and it describes the specific destination you want to reach, typically looking about 5 to 10 years down the road. And these elements don't just exist in a vacuum. They form one continuously connected strategic roadmap. You start with that timeless mission and your long-term vision. Then you figure out the issues and initiatives standing in your way. From there, you set measurable goals, brainstorm strategies to achieve them, and finally, break all of that down into concrete action plans. Literally, every key decision you make pushes you inevitably toward that overarching vision. Moving on to part 2, architecture versus business design. Now that we've got the terminology down, let's look at how the exact same skills you already use to draft a building are perfectly suited to draft a firm's future. It is honestly amazing how neatly these two worlds align. Think about building design. You start with programming, right? Gathering the client's needs? Well, in business, that completely mirrors assessing your firm's issues and initiatives. Schematic design, where you brainstorm big-picture concepts, maps perfectly to crafting your mission and vision. Design development directly parallels setting specific goals and strategies. And those highly detailed construction documents, those are your nuts and bolts action plans. Finally, construction administration, making sure the thing is actually built to spec, is exactly like the implementation and communication of your business plan. See, you basically already know how to do this. Let's jump into part 3, assessing your firm's landscape. Because before you can sketch that very first line of a schematic design, you have to survey the site. In business, this means getting a real grasp on your internal and external realities before drafting anything. You absolutely cannot build a successful strategy on assumptions alone. As a firm leader, you need to rely on honest feedback and hard data. Internally, you should be rolling out employee surveys and sitting down to interview your key managers. Externally, you need client interviews, financial reports, and market trend analyses. And honestly, because getting truly candid answers internally can be tough, a lot of successful firms actually bring in a third-party consultant to do this research. It ensures they capture the unvarnished reality of both the market and their own team's sentiments. Once you've gathered all that data, you need a way to make sense of it, right? Enter the SWOT matrix. It's a brilliant, straightforward diagnostic tool that synthesizes all your research into a clear framework. You plot your internal positive elements as strengths and the negative ones as weaknesses. Then you look outward. What are the external market opportunities you can seize? And what are the threats you need to defend against? It perfectly organizes the chaos of the market into actionable insights. Let's ground this theory in reality by looking at a fictional firm from our source material, Franklin and Associates. They're a 25-year-old firm facing some very real-world challenges. Their core K-12 education market is shifting its procurement models, and they've recently downsized from 18 to 12 people, so they are really struggling with staff retention. But through their landscape assessment, they uncovered a massive external opportunity, the higher education market, which is virtually untapped for them. This assessment directly informs what they need to build next. All right, part 4. Goals, strategies, and actions. Armed with our landscape assessment, it's time to shift gears. We're translating those high-level observations into measurable targets, basically moving from the schematic design into our business construction documents. Setting smart, quantifiable goals requires concrete numbers. For Franklin and Associates, they aren't just vaguely saying, hey, we want to make more money. No, they've set very specific net revenue targets over a midterm 3-year horizon. We're talking $1.5 million in year 1, stepping up to $2 million by year 3. Your goals simply must be measurable, whether that's financial targets, staff size, or the number of lead-accredited professionals on your team. You have to be able to track your progress with absolute accuracy. Now, while those midterm goals are typically set for 3 years, your overarching vision goals should sit comfortably at the 5-year mark. But why exactly 5 years? Well, a 5-year planning horizon is kind of the sweet spot. It is far enough out into the future to be truly ambitious and visionary, but it's near enough that it remains realistic and actionable for your team today. Let's look at how a broad goal cascades down into the daily grind. First, you define a general strategy, a good idea to push the firm in the right direction. Next, you create a highly specific action plan to actually execute it. Then, and this is absolutely crucial, you assign a responsible champion and set a hard deadline. Finally, you measure the result. This is exactly how general good intentions transform into highly specific, inescapable tasks. Here is that cascade in practice for Franklin and Associates. Their broad strategy to improve profitability translates directly to a concrete action plan, adopting new quality assurance procedures to avoid rework. The champion? Jerry. His deadline? 1 month. To broaden ownership, Mike is tasked with engaging a transition consultant within 12 months. Think of it just like a construction schedule. If you don't assign a specific person and a specific date, the work simply will not get done. Which brings us to our final section, implementing your firm's vision. Remember, an unbuilt blueprint is completely useless. All of this planning means absolutely nothing if we don't move into the construction administration phase. We have to execute the plan through consistent, relentless oversight. Strategic planning is absolutely not a one-time event that you do at a corporate retreat and then shove in a binder on a dusty shelf. No way. It is a continuous, living loop. You plan and assign, you implement, you monitor the results, and then you improve and repeat the cycle all over again. This constant rhythm of evaluation and course correction is what keeps a firm relevant as market forces inevitably shift. To make this work, the firm leader has to act as the principal in charge of the entire plan. You need regular monthly review meetings. And hey, if a champion misses a deadline, you reschedule it once, but if they miss it again, you reassign it. The goal is getting the job done, not protecting egos. Most importantly, you have to communicate transparently with your entire staff, utilizing constructive peer pressure, accountability, and taking the time to celebrate small wins. That's how you maintain a true strategic planning culture. The biggest takeaway here? Successful architecture firms do not emerge by luck. They are intentionally designed. You can't just focus on designing beautiful buildings. You have to apply that exact same creative and analytical rigor to designing the firm itself. As firm owners, you must actively craft your own work life, your firm's culture, and your financial rewards through deliberate strategic planning. I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful quote from management expert Peter Drucker. He said, "Plans are only good intentions unless they immediately degenerate into hard work." All the vision boards, the SWOT analyses, and the mission statements, they're just good intentions until you put in the daily, dedicated hard work to execute them. Visionary thinking is a requirement, but everyday execution is what actually gets the building built. You have the tools, the templates, and the architectural mindset required to build something incredible. The only question left is up to you. When you lay out the blueprints for your own business, what will the skyline of your firm's future look like? Start treating your future business as your most important design project today.